Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about preparing yourself for an economic downturn. We're going to be talking about some of just the primary things that you should be thinking about, even if you're in an okay position right now. We think these things are important, especially given what is going on right now in this just crazy time. We don't know what is the future is going to hold for a lot of people, and that can be super scary. So we want to talk about some things that will hopefully give you some peace of mind with your finances. Stick around. We'll be back in about 6 seconds. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am Wendy and I am one half of the House of Five podcast. We are so glad you are here. Welcome to our house. We're going to be talking today again about ways that you can kind of just shore up your finances while we approach what is probably going to be a recession that is coming. We were hit really, really hard by the 2008 recession, and we were in such a different place that time around than we are now. If you know our story, you know that 3 years ago we had $1 million worth of debt, and that in 3 years we have been able to eliminate $650,000 of that debt. What is left is our student loans. We are in a place where we can survive on just my husband's income. We have some savings. That's not quite what I want it to be, and we'll talk about that in a second too, but we have so much more security and stability than we had in 2008 when we lost everything. It was just a really, really hard time, and I know some of you have already been affected. There have already been job losses, and I'm so sorry that that is happening to you, but know that this is temporary. This will not last forever, and hopefully there are some things that I'm going to talk to you about today that will be helpful to you and your family. So, let's get started. All right. So, the first thing that I always suggest anyone do is to really get some like a lay of the land of your finances. But in that, I also want to really have you examine your current job security. If you have been laid off, or you are expecting layoff, or there's rumors of layoffs, or you're in an industry that has been significantly impacted already by the pandemic and kind of the collateral damage from that, this is super, super important, because if that income goes away, you have to have a plan for it. And even though things might be okay right now, you need to be able to do as much as you can right now while things are okay to prepare yourself for the future. So, your primary goal right now at this time in history is to shore up your finances. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you do not have an emergency fund, you need to start putting every single extra cent that you have into that emergency fund. And I'm not talking about a $1,000 baby emergency fund. You need to have at least a minimum of 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. And I would say even more than that, given that we don't know what the long-term ramifications of this pandemic are going to be. And I know that that seems like such a huge, huge task, and I know that it is, but don't worry about the numbers. Worry about doing something, anything that you can do about it now, because everything's adds up, and in the long run you'll still be much better off than you were had you not taken these steps now. So that's number one. Your primary focus is going to see where you are, look at your circumstances, see what you have as far as savings, see what you have as far as any other liquid assets. And we did a video last week on liquid net worth, which we also talk about liquid assets and what that is. So I would check that out. You want to see what do you have that if you needed to sell, you could sell and you could get cash for it fairly quickly. So get a lay of the land, see where you are, know what you have, know what your debts are. The other thing that you also want to be clear on is what does your spending look like? What are things coming out of your account that are maybe not necessary? Those things add up, and you want to either cut or eliminate things that are not necessary or going to your four walls right now. Your four walls are your food, your shelter, your transportation, and your utilities. What does it take for you to feed and house and give your family safety and shelter? And those are your priorities along with your savings account. So you're going to be looking for things that you can cut that you're spending on currently. You're going to examine things like your car insurance, seeing if there are maybe you're due for another evaluation, and seeing if your rates can be lowered. You're going to be contacting maybe the mortgage company. You're going to be doing whatever you can to reduce your expenses. If you're currently in a debt snowball or a debt avalanche, and that you are paying more than the minimums on your debt, it is important right now to stop doing that. That really, as I said before, if you do not have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund, that is your goal right now. And those extra payments that you are paying should be diverted to that temporarily. Now, if a year from now, 6 months from now, it turns out that you don't need that, or that things were okay as far as your job situation goes, then you can then go ahead and make some big payments on those items. But for now, suspend your debt snowball, suspend your debt avalanche, and only pay the minimums on those debts. All right, so you've taken a look at what you're spending your money on. Um, you've taken action to shore up your emergency funds. You have reduced your debt snowballs. Now, the other thing that I think that you should do and take advantage of, if you can, is if there are creditors that can suspend payments or reduce payments, or anything like that. I think now's the time to do it. I think creditors are expecting that. Especially if you've had a reduction in income, they are expecting that. Take advantage of that relief right now, because even if it's just a couple months, those can add up to huge amounts. I know that there are some mortgage relief programs that have been instituted, as well as student loan programs instituted to kind of give you a cushion. Take advantage of those. Get those in place so that money can be diverted to either your essential living expenses right now, or to your emergency fund. Look at your big areas first. Those are where you're going to see the biggest ways that you can save. If there's a way for you to cut your housing expenses, do you have a spare room that you can let out? Do you need to be where you are? Can you move in with someone else? If you can, use public transportation and rent out your car. I mean, these are big expenses. If you are able to find a way to cut the big areas, those dollars go a lot farther. But that's not to neglect the small expenses too, because those add up. $10, $20, $30 when combined, they make big amounts. So you're doing all of that. You're taking care of your four walls. You're shoring up your savings account. You're questioning every expense and asking, is this something I can cut? Is this something that I can get rid of entirely? And also, make sure that if there's something that maybe you can instead get for free, do that too. We're just all about saving money right now during this time. And, I think that there's this huge fear of missing out right now. We hear from people, oh my gosh, the market is down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invest money in the market. If you don't have your savings in place, if you don't have your 3 to 6 months or more of expenses in place, now is not the time for you to jump into the market. There will be other opportunities in the future for you to do that, but now is not the time. You need to be protecting your our four walls above all else right now. And I don't say that to be alarmist. I just don't want you to, buy into the hype that you have to invest now. Those opportunities will come. We are not where we need to be as far as our emergency fund goes either. We have one. I'm thankful for it, but do I feel comfortable that it's not at a whole year's worth? I do not. We are able to survive on my husband's salary right now. However, he's a teacher. We don't know what's going to happen with the district. We don't know what's going to happen with the state budgets. We don't know if layoffs are going to come. So I would feel a lot more comfortable if I knew that as of right now I had 12 months, 24 months of expenses in the bank, even though right now everything seems secure. And so we're withholding from investing in the market right now. We're still doing our um, payroll deposits and doing a little bit of dollar cost averaging with those, which we talked about in Wednesday's video, so check that out too. But we're not putting any extra money into the market. Any extra money that we have is going into savings account until we can bump that puppy up to about 12 months, because that would make mama feel a whole lot better. All right, everyone. I hope that these tips were helpful. I would also, just a final thought, in addition to shoring up our finances, I think it is super, super important to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mental health, um, taking care of each other. I know that we can't always see our loved ones in person, but reaching out, just checking in, making sure they're okay. If you need that sort of connection and contact, reach out to your loved ones. Reach out to us. We're here. We are happy to talk to you, happy to support you in whatever way that we can. This is just a strange time for everybody, and we're thinking about you. We hope that you are well. We hope that you are healthy, and will continue to be here for you during this time. We know it is scary. We have been in this position before, and just like before in 2008, it was not a permanent situation. It was hard. It was really hard, not gonna lie, super hard, but we came through it and we learned so much from it. And we were so grateful for our family and friends during that time. And we just hope that we're that for you. All right, everyone. Well, we hope that you are well, be safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.